Yeah, so Challenge Lab final blog. I just finished watching all my other playlists and I noticed a few things. So the first thing I noticed in my personal growth was I noticed how much of a hypocrite. So in the first few weeks during the Lego game and the trade up game, I was always railing on teammates about like not showing up to meetings and not being active in participation. And it turns out that many of those things I fell into myself looking back onto it. But at the same time, I think what this shows is that like I really need to examine myself more critically. It's about, and this might sound a bit like weird, but it's about thinking of yourself less as an exception to these faults and flaws and more as a statistic, so you can really fully examine yourself in an unbiased way. The second thing I noticed was that really, as like time progressed, I noticed that whenever I was talking about our first few startup ideas before the pivots, so say the sentiment analysis with terrorism and then moving on to sentiment analysis with the stock market, I wasn't really passionate. And I think I really noticed this change in passion whenever I was talking about bounty. And this was around the week 13 era. And I noticed that like I just had more energy whenever I was talking. I felt like I was almost like actually had a goal. And I think what I really actually took away from that, and like as I look back into it now, is that I really learned to work with what I love, and that's like work towards trying to solve a legitimate problem. In the case of bounty safety, was really more forthcoming, more it didn't feel like work at all, right? Like it felt like a challenge at the same time, but it wasn't work. It was almost fun in a way, trying to solve this problem with a good team. And I noticed that just uniting that way, there was a lot of really it was a really good motion behind it, and that just really showed in the quality of my work. And I think from that I was able to grow because I learned how to work better with teammates, because whenever we're all united, learned how to work on myself more and like how to be more organized. Because if I wasn't, the team would almost fall apart. And I learned how to participate more with classes, how to talk to the teachers like Pochi and more and Ken more, because I now had something to talk about, right? Like a project I was really passionate about, and that's just a really good feeling to have, honestly. And going on the personal growth side, I feel that I really did learn how to work with a team better, and I also learned more about what it means to lead. There were a lot of conflicts, as I talked about in my other video blogs, that a lot of my team members had, like Pranav and Alec and Denny, and I feel like when it came down to it, it was really Denny and I who were really like soothing over the problems that I talked about earlier in my videos. And I think that's a critical leadership skill, and it's exactly what Pochi talked about during his lectures. Like, not all teams are going to work out, but at the same time, I don't think that like there are teams that can also be salvaged, and I think ours is one of those, and it worked really well. I honestly also learned to never be afraid to take the gamble on somebody. Whenever I was going back to it, I had a lot of doubts surrounding Chan, just because of this language barrier we had between him being really, really Korean heavy. And the only person able to talk to him was essentially Denny, who was also fluent in Korean and English as well. And that turned out to be the best gamble ever in the terms of our team, because Chan turned out to be somebody who had previous startup experience in Korea, an amazing coder who essentially handled 90% of the back end work when it came to our website. And essentially like our what was it called? MBD, least viable, MVP, least viable product. And he was amazing, and we would never have like gotten such an amazing team member without taking that risk on essentially diversity. And I think I really learned like team diversity does matter, and you never should count somebody out just because of what race they are or what language they speak, because everybody brings a unique perspective or a unique skill set. And I think that's kind of like how entrepreneurship really generates these great ideas, right? Like combining these perspectives into a product that really solves a core integral problem. And so I think I learned to be more trusting of others, more critical of myself, and to really not work for the money, but work for the problem, and try to solve something I'm passionate about. So thank you.